Hi, I'm Jay Monte for this special edition of TruFan Boxing. Over 40 years ago, two top fighters from the golden age of heavyweights battled it out in Madison Square Garden. These renowned legends were Joe Frazier and George Chuvallo, and I had the opportunity to sit with both of them and reminisce about the glory days in honor of their anniversary of their historic fight. When did you guys fight? You fought at the Old Garden?
Yeah, July 19th, I believe, at the Garden, 1967.
George, you fought all the top guys. How tough was Joe?
Well, Joe's tough because a lot of people don't realize he's hard to hit.
No.
He moves his head good. Oh, yeah, he's hard to hit. Well, he can move his head. He can bob and weave as good as anybody. I'm telling you, he can bob and weave. He comes out with that big left hook out of a weave. No, he's a tough target. No, he moves well. What was your training name?
George had one habit. He get cut. Besides that, he punches, man. He can fight. But when I cut him, I just went, hey, George. Hey, George. I didn't hit him hard. I just tapped that cut. Hey, George. Hey, it's fun. Stop it because you lose his eye. But at that time, it was a job for me to do. Open that cut up so he can stop the fight. He's tough.
George, did you ever come close to going down?
Not as far as I'm concerned, I never really did. But I'll tell you, he was one of the hardest punchers I ever fought. That's for sure. Joe had a smoking left hook, and they don't call him Smoking Joe for nothing.
He shook me, and that's why I got to the point where I started moving on him. If you look at the film, I didn't go for him forward all the time. When I found out I cut him, I didn't play with the cut. Because I know they were going to stop the fight because they don't want him to lose his eyes.
How did that fight come about between you two and also your common opponents during that era, if you could share with us?
Well, common opponents? Well, we both fought Muhammad.
Yeah.
We both fought Jerry Quarry.
Yep.
We both fought Mamo Ramos.
Yep.
We both fought, I'm trying to think, Buster Mathis.
New York always been the place and any fighters to be a part of. Once you've been able to get, not New York, but the Garden. The Garden was the place.
There's no
the Garden was the place.
Ever in the history of boxing that can match, Madison Square Garden. That housed more great fights than any other venue in the world,
You were one of the few heavyweights or few fighters that fought both at the Old Garden and the New Garden. What was the difference?
Well, the Old Garden probably has more of a sense of history. It's kind of the hallowed halls, so to speak. I fought Joe in the Old Garden, but the New Garden. The New Garden's a beautiful place, and 50 years from now, they'll be talking about it. Maybe not quite the same way as the Old Garden, because the Old Garden had fights on a regular basis. The New Garden doesn't have fights on a regular basis anymore. Like all the big fights in the old days seem to be in Madison Square Garden. Now they're going to Vegas. They're going to Atlantic City, so it's the venues have changed. The Garden was a regular. Every week they had fights. Every week, Friday night fights going on for 20 years from 1944 to 64.
You fought Ali before he fought Ali,
Yeah.
and then after he fought Ali, correct?
I
72?
fought Joe. I fought Ali on March 29, 66. And of course, then he fought Joe. He fought Muhammad, I think, in 71.
Right.
And then I fought Muhammad in 72.
72.
And he fought Muhammad
74.
74.
That's right.
And that was it. When was the second fight, though?
Right
that was
in New
January,
York City.
January 74 in the Garden, yes.
And then you fought him in Manila was 75, I guess. I'm not sure. Was it 75 you guys fought in Manila or what?
75, no, yeah.
Yeah.
It's the idea that we done it all. And we all were, like, let's say, top fighters.
I wanted to ask you, you were around that terrific era before he fought Ali in 71. You fought both. What was your opinion on the fight coming up on March 8th that time?
The hype was fantastic, and the match met the hype. It was the most hyped up fight I've ever seen in my life. It was one of the most action-packed fights you'd ever want to see. It was fantastic. That's one of the greatest fights ever. everybody in the whole world was talking about the fight. At the barbershops, at the gym, at the schools, at work, wherever. Everybody was talking about the upcoming fight between Joe Frazier and Muhammad Ali. Everybody wanted to see the fight, just that kind of a fight. And there's nothing like it today. You know, like when you saw Joe and Muhammad fight, they were throwing punches left, right, and center. Now the heavyweights throw punches like they're on rations. If they throw 2-3 jabs, and they go on hold for about a minute and a half. If they throw a right hand, you know, it's different times. But that was a great era of the golden heavyweights. That's what they say in the 60s and 70s. And that fight with Muhammad, the first fight, was the greatest fight with the greatest hype for any fight I've ever seen in my life.
Ain't gonna be no more fighters, you know, like that again, unless we go back in this gym and train people. That's right. No, make a comeback for them.
Yeah.
I closed my gym. If my city want me to like help the young men around and ladies, I go back. Beside that, I'm not gonna bother. Because otherwise, you know, it's too much love. You know how you spell love?
Yeah.
How you spell? M-O-N-E-Y. M-O-N-E-Y. Money, love.
Money, honey.
So
Landlord,
if I get my love that they supposed to give me, I go back and set the gym up right and give the young man, the young lady something to do. They need somebody to teach them right.
Oh, yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
they got no nobody like us.
You guys
Ain't
fought
no
in
difference.
67. He says something else, but I'm going to check the record on you two guys. I think it was 60. I think George is right.
67, no, 100%. It was July 1967, 100%.
Thank you, George. Thank you, Joe.
Hey, man,
Take care.
even that's rapping with you.
Okay. Nice
Take
talking.
care. Well, even after all these years, George had the date right. It was, in fact, July 19th, 1967. I want to thank you all for watching this special edition of TruFan Boxing. I'm Jay Monte. See you there in the square. Take care.